There we go. All systems a go, which is excellent news because we have a powerhouse hanging out with us today. My friend, my colleague, my mentor, my client, Leslie Thorton, who, if you haven't heard of her, is an NLP trainer, hypnotist, and certified coach who's helped hundreds of people around the world overcome the mental obsession with food, body, and weight for good. And she's here today, not so much to talk about that, although maybe someday we will talk about overcoming limiting beliefs and stepping into our healthiest versions of ourselves. But in order to impact that many people, you've had to figure out marketing. And you've been in the game for a while, so I'm excited to unpack this story and really answer a question that I get a lot, which is like, how long is this going to take?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's all right with you, I'd love to rewind our relationship to about a year ago when we started working together on some of your business stuff. And at that time, I remember you saying like, I just need to email my list. Do you remember those days?
I do. I absolutely do.
Like
I know where I was sitting during that conversation.
Yeah, me too. Yes. That's funny. Mm-hmm. So yeah, where were things at that time for you and your
definitely
business?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I watch your podcast a lot. I love everyone that you bring on and just everything that you've created marketing wise, and just seeing your path has been awesome. And obviously our work together continues to just continue in all the ways, and I appreciate all the aspects. So thank you for having me, and I'm glad I have something to share. And my intention is to inspire your audience of just like getting into the marketing game, because I wasn't there. Right. So I think order of operations wise for me, Hannah, it was like sales has to be number one, 80%, of your actions need to be sales and marketing. Well, to be honest, as a new coach that's building this business, it's just sales. Like I need more calls, right? Stat. I need to increase my sales skills so I can make the difference for these human beings and get them in ASAP and deliver. Right. And so I had been doing that. I proved that I was willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. Right. And then getting these results. So great. And then I remember I was at a seminar that was talking about this one guy who had this email list, who he just, was building these relationships with his email list, like a lot of people. And the reason they would just kept following him was because he was just like, he's just delivering so much value just over and over again. And and then he got into this place for himself one day where he was like in debt. He had to buy this house and the bank didn't give him enough money. And he borrowed an exceptional amount of money from somebody and said, I promise I'll pay you back by this date. And it turned out the bank wasn't able to get it to him fast enough. So he was like, don't worry, to his friend who loaned him this large amount of money. He was like, I'm just going to generate
an email list.
Yes. He's like, I'm just going to make it. I think it was like 60 grand or something. Okay. And so he goes to his email list and he just made something that he knew could help these people. And within 24 or 48 hours, 60 grand like that. Okay. And it's like, why did that happen? It's like, well, because these people trusted this guy and he's been just loving on them for so long. And like the power that had of just like, oh my God, like that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So I actually got coaching from that guy and I was just like, yeah, so like, what's the deal? Like, I feel like, right. And he was talking about, like trusting yourself, like of having, as far as having other people trust you, to like, really do you trust yourself? And it kind of like awakened my soul of just being like, I want to have more integrity. Like I want to have, like more just like love and get back to why I started this in the first place. So when I first started, almost 10 years ago, it was like, I remember laying on my bed and making these beautiful emails. Like I'm a really good writer, and like I had like people and I got clients from it because every single week or maybe a couple times a week, I would be just dumping love at them. But the truth is like, as I was growing in my commitment to actually making and building something that made a difference in a big way, I wasn't able to do that anymore. So after that conversation with this guy, and after for like months of having it in my calendar every day of being like, write an email to your list, like write an email to your list, like write an email to your list, I was like, this isn't happening. Right. And so that was what, we were already working together in different capacity. I was like, okay, Hannah, let's talk about like, how about you write emails to my list? Like, how does that work? So
Yeah. Well,
that's how it got there.
so common. Like we can all, I think, see ourselves in that timeline. Like you said, order of operations, hustle. Like the first year of business, you need to hit the sidewalk, you need to send the messages, you need to book the calls and flex all of your grit muscles. And yeah, you can learn how to do storytelling and you can be heart-centered, but it's a natural shift when you learn sales and you learn how to convert, that some of that warm, fuzzy, woo-woo, feel good, I'm just here to inspire, has to take the back seat. Because like you said, you're in that phase of business.
Yes.
But the long game really is where sustainable businesses work out. You can do that for a year, but why do some companies or people quit after that amount of time? And why do others continue to have clients? And yeah, you learn new skills and yeah, you go to seminars and get more coaches, but you're building a relationship with your audience and hopefully that audience is growing. But I'm so glad that you shared that story of someone else who had been investing in the long game and just building relationships with people. I think we've talked
100%.
about the difference between people who are on the treadmill and people who are on the sidewalk. Like Leslie and I are usually the treadmill type where it's like, I see it, I'm running, I'm going to join. But most people are not as intense or unicorn-like as us. And if you're working with the general population, a lot of them are on the sidewalk and they want to window shop and they want to come in and check it out and they want to, see how long you stick around. So email is definitely a powerful tool to facilitate that relationship. But like you said, when you're a business owner, you've got calls to make, you've got team to develop, you've got so many other things to do. So
yes.
Email really was just the beginning of like, great, let's start showing up there consistently. And it wasn't like once that got off of your plate, or you could remove that time block that you were just kind of avoiding, where were you able to focus in your business, having some of that marketing and the email writing done for you?
Definitely. I think it gave me really like peace of mind to know that was taken care of and I was being sensitive to the people on the sidewalk. Right. Because the truth is, like, if I was present, if I had the time to be like, wow, like, let me track and be like, wow, that person has come to my live event every single month. And like, I don't even know who they are. Right. It's just like, it felt like out of integrity for me. So it's like, I do care about that person, and I want to know who that person is. And I'm missing out on that because I'm not appreciating who they are and the way they shop or maybe they're just timeline of their life or when this is actually ready versus when they like catch like the one time they get a, post from me saying, hey, by the way, I'm doing this. And like, if it's the right second or not. So I think, yeah, I felt more at peace and more like I'm taking care of and being responsible for everyone who's in my vortex, and not just, being self-serving of being like, whoever's ready now, because that's how I buy, like you take it or leave it, like you missed the boat, sorry, yeah. So I feel like whenever we take care of whatever it is, and you and I were talking about this before we started this call of, I'm a big believer of, talk about feminine, marketing or taking action of your intuition knows what actions are next to take. Right, for your personal business. And it was just like, we get these little clues I went to that seminar and that whole thing happened for me. And it's like, I know that intuitively that's the next step to take. So for me, if I'm not taking action, right, on that intuitive next step to take, I'm not going to show up at 100% with my clients, with my business, with my team, because it's going to be like, right. Like, that thing on my calendar keeps saying, write an email. And like, it's, I tried it a couple times and it just didn't have the same, right. Because I think in sales, like you're talking about, you get in the masculine, right. And then it's to be in the email, it's like, there is this feminine. So it was too much. Right. So that's how it changed. I feel like I just had more peace about, yeah, I'm doing the right thing and I'm taking action on the thing that I know there is to take action on now when it comes to marketing.
Yeah. Okay. Integrity and energy. I know everyone wants the like shiny template or what do I need to say? Or like, what's the like omnipresence, like funnel, whatever. But how huge is the energetic game and showing up as the leader that you want to show up as? Like, this really is when we become the magnet, and all my woo people are like, yeah, okay, but how do I really do it? And I think what you're saying, like building your agreements, like keeping the agreements you have with yourself, knowing your
Yes.
business needs you to be in integrity is so huge.
Mhm.
And when you built that, the foundation for yourself, okay, great, I know emails are going out. You were also able to start developing other things in the business and shift your energy out of like, I'm not sending an email every day, to what? Like, what else was able to open up in your business once that was taken care of?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the order of operations of how it came out, but I think it was kind of like it's knowing that we're sending the emails and it's like it just makes marketing sense, right? So like what are we funneling these people towards? Like what is that adds that next level of integrity of like providing that service, right? For the people who are the sidewalk shoppers or whatever. And so did you come up with the idea of doing the monthly free event that we've been doing for 8 months now, the Healthy Hypnosis Hour event? Um, and I had seen that work before. I had been in coaching program in the past where every single month or maybe a couple of times a month, they would do a big, 3-hour free event for anyone. And it's like really giving them value, right? So I give people a free mini hypnosis session for, food stuff on that call, as well as I really share like very authentically, which I would love to get into talking about feminine, like how the funnel actually works if we have time for that. What goes on for people, when it comes to diet mentality and why they're stuck with food, body, and weight, and why they haven't been able to figure out like being able to actually lose weight and keep it off long term permanently. So once people really it's like then, yeah, educating them, giving them that mini experience, then inviting them for a conversation. And, the one that we just ran last week, we had 3 people who signed up for a call at the end of that, and they all just registered right away. So, making that process even more, it's like less convincing and more just like, this is what it
Transparency.
is. Yeah.
Transparency is
So much
the
transparency.
key to this
Yes.
feminine funnel game for sure. And we will get into breaking that down. But I
Mm-hmm.
also want to remind you, Leslie, that when you had more of the marketing off of your plate, you were also able to take like 2 months to do an in-depth NLP training, and you were able to take a vacation with your family, and you were able to hire coaches and like, yes, all that marketing stuff expanded, but I also think it's important. Yeah, remember last summer when it was, a really transformational place in your business when you weren't in it every day, but you were able
Yes.
to get that bird's eye view, work on the business, knowing that day-to-day things were off your plate.
Definitely. I think definitely getting more support always opens up more of that. And it's, easy for me to forget about my free time because I'm always thinking about the business. But yes, 100%. Yep. Taking care of you, getting things off your plate, so then you have more space to do more personal development so you can be better at what you're doing, or yeah, make your systems better, etc. Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful. So all of these pieces were really coming together for you. And yeah, we realized that people need more of that sidewalk opportunity to have experiences with you. And especially, it made so much sense for hypnosis for permanent weight loss to open the doors to the program and not be like, oh, it's a magical thing that I'm going to sell you on, right? And so building this transparency into your funnel has really worked out. Like you said, people come and now get to experience what it is, see what it's about, and then come to an enrollment call way more educated, way more ready, way less, what's the hook, right? What's the bait and switch game?
Yes.
That
Waiting. Mm-hmm.
some people have played with internet marketers in other places.
Definitely.
So
And if I could just before, like one thing I feel inspired to say is like, because you and I, or myself especially, I'm just like I see it, I want it, I buy it. Like, I don't care. Like, I like being sold to, that's just right. The unicorn effect. But it was like, I wasn't present to the other way of marketing. Right. So the fact that like people do need that, or they do want that. I see a lot of coaches. So I'm saying this for whoever is out there, where you might be the sidewalk shopper, And so there's all this emphasis on, right? Like, let's just keep doing the stuff so that we're making sure that people like us and they trust us. But it's like also like, okay, but how do we actually like make like the stuff happen right now and focus on the sales and like get the people who are ready today, because they're still there as well. So I think you have to be aware of your own buying strategy and know that you probably have a deficit in the opposite. Right. So Hannah, you're probably amazing clientele are people that are like us that are just going to be like, right. And it's like, okay, so if you're that person like me and Hannah and you're the unicorn, it's like, you need to be responsible for the sidewalk shoppers as well. Yeah. Just wanted to say
Treat
that.
others how they want to be treated.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into how we can treat those people who aren't quite ready to just invest and jump in, or, sleep with you, like we like to say. Like, hey, we met, now I'm like in your program and we're totally committed and invested. But some of those dates and those micro agreements along the way, should we break it down? Should we talk about how this goes? Because I think it's important for us to see those step by step. So we know there's lots of ways people can learn about you. They can find your podcast. They can find your freebie that's on the internet. They can find your website. They can find your Facebook group. So let's just know that Leslie has, her stuff out there. People can find her. But then what are some of the next invitations that people get? Like, let's use the podcast for an example. Great. I'm in the podcast. I'm about Leslie. You invite them to take another action, right?
Yep. To get our free Healthy Hypnosis Hour training is our main thing that we're funneling people towards. Also, we have a new version live every single month. So if they join our Facebook group, then it's an invitation to get an email to join the next live event on our Facebook page. And then we also have the 5-step guide as well for how to achieve permanent weight loss. So those are our initial next steps. And then from there, booking calls.
Yes, perfect. So it's like value, event, invitation to book a call. Now, remember, there are people who are on the treadmill. So you can always, if someone responds to your email and is ready to get going, go back in conversation with them. Or if you're in DMs and they're like, I need this yesterday, like move them forward. But I love how having that monthly live event where they literally come in, go through an exercise, actually see what this is. This is not like a pretend free training where I'm just going to like problem, agitate, solve. This is a real experience that people get. And I think every coach has the same opportunity, even if you're not doing hypnosis or breath work, like move people through an exercise and then give the invitation to talk about taking the right next step, which will be investing. And this might be like, okay, I could do a webinar. Okay, I could like do once a month training, but pouring this intentionality over it of transparency, of giving value, of like really holding space and allowing them to make the empowered decision of like, I'm going to get off of the sidewalk and really come into your shop now is powerful. But you can't just do it once. So I think this is the other really important thing that Leslie, you have owned. And I like talk about you to clients of like Leslie marketing mindset, that you started doing these events 8-9 months ago. And it's been an iterative process, every month getting better, every month having more people show up, every month having more calls booked. But I think a lot of people just want to do it once, record it, and then start shooting it out in some automated email. That's a very different energy. So what are you feeling in this consistency of showing up, working the funnel every day, every month, and,
I love that question.
Leading into it. Yeah.
And I feel like there's not any better time to ask me this question than after last week's or 2 weeks ago, Healthy Hypnosis Hour, because the one thing that I could feel in that call was that I was just so authentic. And going back into, femininity or like what sales is really about nowadays, it's like, that's what people want. Like they're not just getting the content, they're being with you, you know, like they're analyzing and judging you and catching if you say anything that feels weird or that they think that you're, you know, like there is that happening in the background. And I remember before I started the last Healthy Hypnosis Hour, the live call, I didn't have like a couple sticky notes that I normally have in the beginning. And it was too late, you know, like I had already like, it was like, I had to just go live and I was just like, here we go. You know, I wasn't nervous about it, but it had that, but it was right there. And it was just like, here we are, everybody. And I was just, okay. And I just felt like I'm just spitting the truth, everyone. Right. Which is also my authentic energy. Right. So it's like, you got to be authentic to who you actually are. I'm a very like, no BS, like, I'm just telling you the truth, you know, like
diets don't
like
work.
This is what, diets don't work. Like, has this happened to you? Like with this? And it's just like, they can't deny it. Every single person who watches the training and gets onto our consultation call is like, everything she said, I'm sorry, I can't argue with anything. Like, that's exactly my experience. So, authenticity, like being the game changer. The other thing with that is like similar to answering your question a little bit different is like, I did have, and I do think that it's like just important, like, because, you know, as business owners, you throw things at the wall and sometimes it doesn't stick, you know, and you do just do the one-time webinar and then it falls flat and you're just trying to send it out because you're supposed to. You got to pay attention every single time that I just do an action because you're supposed to. Not to say you shouldn't, just to like if something really needs to be there and you don't feel inspired, it's like, okay, create something and get it out there. But nothing really happens with it unless I am enrolled, unless I believe that that is what has to happen to make it work. So two things, like I said, I was in coaching programs in the past where they would do that free event, right? And the leader would run it. And I saw the power of that, you know, and I saw the authenticity in that conversation. And it was like, yes, right? So it's like, I knew that that would work, right? So my belief is on board. Number two, so many people talked about how with their, what is the guy's name who does the webinars? Russell Brunson, that they did it 100 times, right? Before they got it down to 30 minutes, before they got it down to the 5-minute webinar, like hundreds of times of the same thing. Right. And I heard that and I knew that already in the background, and I just hadn't executed on that yet because I didn't have like exactly what I wanted to present on, or I wasn't ready yet or whatever. So both of those things combined, like my belief is there that doing a free event works and doing it over and over again, the same thing works as well for people that get all the way and super successful. So yeah, all of that combined.
To me, it's starting to just feel like health, like it's a healthy thing to do. You go to the dentist every 6 months, right? Like you go and move your body regularly. And I had another conversation with a podcast guest who talked about thinking about her business, like having a child. Like, I'm going to be with this thing for decades. So I don't need to figure out one webinar one day and just like go sit on my island. And if we can all start to adopt this mentality and this energy of curiosity and willingness to show up, we really can have a consistent lead generation system that we can rely on. And I have always been saying, I'm not going to give you a hashtag algorithm hack or some quick fix for your marketing, because it's a lifelong relationship. And showing up once a month for your people in a free event has really worked. And I think it's because it's supported by so many of the cliches that we've heard that are true. Like you're saying.
Yes. And two things on that is like going into my geeky NLP trainer mind, right? Like the way to actually change this unconscious mind is through repetition and through emotion, right? So interestingly enough, when we know that authenticity is what sells, right? The more that every single month that I get on there and I say the same thing over and over again, my belief in what we're doing is enhancing like tenfold. It's like, yeah, that is true. Like, yes, Leslie, right? Because it's like, we always have that thing, like we know what we're saying is true and we see clients getting results, but like it's getting ingrained into my brain. I'm like, that's everything I'm saying is real and so true, right? So then it just enhances, right, that as well. So yeah, for that as well with the consistency is like, it's also our responsibility as leaders to make sure that we are indoctrinating what we're doing. And it's like, what better way to do that than to like preach it, but then continue like over and over again, and know that you're going to get better results for yourself and for your clients, because your certainty is enhancing as well in what you're delivering. The other thing I want to say, like a plug for, Hannah, and like, because there's copywriters that are just going to plug and play and just put it, but after working with Hannah for whatever, a year over whatever, now for copywriting, it's like, you're so much more than just a copywriter. Like, you actually get into someone's business and you're giving that mentorship as well. Like, I remember you saying 6 months ago, like, it's time for Leslie to step into confidence, right? Like, confidence is where it's at. Like, we need to see photos of you. We need you to be out there, right? So there is a coaching component as well, because like Hannah's saying, is like, you are evolving as a leader, and like, you got to meet you where you're at. So, Hannah's more than just copywriting. It's like, you're going to get someone who's going to be able to actually see where you're at with your business and give you like direct coaching for like, this is what has to happen next. And like she's saying, working relationship of being like, this is what I'm seeing now with the copy that we have, right? And this is what I think needs to happen next. And her just matching and meeting you at that right away and making it continue to work. So,
well, thanks for outing me as a coach, as I'm over here telling everyone I'm not
he's
a
a
coach.
secret.
We retired. No, it's so true. I can't, right? It's
yeah,
in
of course, because you care about your clients having success. And the reality is like, when you're doing copywriting, you're not doing copywriting for like selling a wristband
or just to like go on a billboard for 6 months,
right? Like, you're doing it for this coach that is constantly learning and becoming aware of new things and evolving. And it's like, there's no other way. Like, you have to, in order for your clients to be happy, you have to get in there with them. So
yeah.
Real life.
In the spirit of full transparency, what we're talking about is the funnel aspect of what we do, because you can put out emails and you can post on social media, but if you don't have a strategy to take those people who are loving your stories and loving your posts into an experience or into more opportunities to move the relationship forward and become a client with you, that's why we do all of these things together. So we do done for you copywriting with the socials and the emails. We just would like for you to point it to a strategic thing, as Leslie has and really mastered for her high ticket coaching program. So if this is resonating and you're like, that's great, I don't want to do it. Like, I need help, right? I need help putting this together. I don't want to put all the pieces together on my own. Then you can jump over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/connect and tell us what you'd love to have done for you. And we'll see if we can help. So if you want to learn more about Leslie, where can folks tune in and keep hearing your beautiful voice and wisdom?
Yeah, our Facebook group is Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss Method. It's got some nice lightning bolts around it, so click on that. My podcast is also Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, or, I know we got a lot of people in the same network. We're probably already friends on Facebook. Feel free to drop me a message there as well.
Hi, friends. Great. All right, dear. Thank you for being here. I think we have to have you back because you're just so full of all the things, but that's it for today. I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life and business a reality.